Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to cover about the solution for a Leetcode question called Web Crawler Multithreaded. And also at the same time I'm going to cover the general procedure about coding interview. So let's get started. So remember, in a coding interview, the first step is always try to understand the question. And also, if you have any question to ask to clarify, please bring up the question, don't be shy. And also at the same time, think about some edge cases. So let's read through this problem. So it's given a URL start URL and the interface HTML parser. So implement a multi-threaded web crawler to crawl all the links that are under the same host as the start URL. So return all the URLs obtained by your web crawler in any order. So your crawler should start from the page start URL, and then you call the HTML parser.getURL to get all the URLs from the web page. So you don't crawl the same link twice and explore only the links that are under the same host name. So it's showing the URL above the host name is example.org. So I'll just omit those descriptions. So let's say there are some follow-ups. Assume we have 1,000 nodes and 1 billion URL to crawl. We will deploy the same software on each node. So the software can know about all the nodes. We have to minimize the communication between machines and make sure each node does equal amount of the work. How would your web crawler design change? And what if one node fails or does not work? So how do you know when the crawler is done, etc. So let's try to solve the current problems. So it's about implement a multi-thread web crawler. So let's see this example input. So we have the start URL as yahoo.com, news.yahoo.com, news and topic. And this is a linkage, and finally we are going to get the output under so what is okay. So this is the start URL. We should find all things under the same domain. So this domain is news.yahoo.com, and we don't want to include news.google.com because it's a different domain. So let's see. So the solution, I think there isn't too much room to find a solution, but it's more about implementing like the multi-thread in Java or in any other language. So let's see the code. So the code is I'm defining a crawler class that is going to implement the runnable interface. So within the interface, I have a static variable which is called result. So this is to use for deduping. We don't want to visit the same URL twice. And we pass the HTML parser, the host name, and the start URL. So this is a constructor, so we just close it. And then in the run function, we first see if it is the same host name, and if the start URL we have been visited. If we have visited before, we just don't do anything. Otherwise, we will jump into this if branch. First, we add the start URL into the result, and then we start a bunch of the threads, we start a bunch of the threads. So the threads have new thread crawler. And this is like initialize a new thread, and then we start the thread, and we also add the thread into the list to further join on the thread. So we define another helper function which is thread join. Essentially it's about thread join. And in the main function we implement, first of all we get a host name, which is the first two lines, and then we start the crawler. Initialize the visited. So you notice that we have the concurrent hash map, which is thread safe hash map, and then we generate the hash set from the map. And then we start a new thread, and we get a new thread, and then we start it, and then we join on the new thread. After it finishes, then we return crawler .result. So that's essentially how we implement in the multi-threading context. And also for this solution, a drawback is that we may create a lot of the threads which are not really useful. So in that case, um, because there are some overhead creating the threads, so we have another solution. So the solution is we use the thread pool actually. So in here the different so the first one, like implementing, like getting the host name, all are the same, but here we use the thread pool which has 500 threads here, and we submit the task, and we just wait on the task to finish, and after that we just shut down the thread pool. So you see that everything is the same except we use the pool to submit the task and wait for the task to finish. So that's the major difference. So it depends. So if the website is not, it doesn't contain a lot of the URLs, then we are not going to end up creating a lot of the threads. Then that's perfectly fine. But usually we need to use a thread pool to make sure that we don't create a lot of the threads, because creating the thread introduces some overhead, like creating new thread, shutdown, etc. And let's see the follow-up questions. So it says that assume we have 1000 nodes and 1 billion URLs to crawl. So we will deploy the same software on each node. It's fine. And the software can know about all the nodes. It says we have 1000 nodes, 1 billion URLs to crawl. This on each node. The software can know about all the nodes. Okay, and we have to minimize communication between machines and make sure each node does equal amount of the work. How would you web crawler design change? So to be honest, so it's when it says like 10,000 nodes, it seems like it is asking, it is about like we can deploy the same piece of program on 10k machines. It says the software can know about all the nodes. Okay, so it's like the software can magically know all of the nodes, and we have to minimize the communication between machines and make sure each node does equal amount of work. How your web crawler design change? I'm not sure what this question is asking us to do. It's like we deploy the crawler on 10k machines. If that is the case, are we still? I don't think it is. It is good way to use the set in memory to store the results, but rather we should use the database. For example, we could use some SQL database to store the URLs we have crawled. So it has to minimize communication between machines and make sure each node does the equal amount of work. So what we could do is we could introduce a counter, like some counter for different machines to record the number of the URLs for each machine has visited. I guess that's the case. If one machine does a lot of the workload, then we may need to have a sleep for a while. Then it can catch up later on, etc. I guess. But I'm not really sure about what the follow-up question is really asking us to do. So the second one, what if one node fails or doesn't work? So if one node fails or doesn't work, if it is possible for a machine to be down, which doesn't really matter, because we have now we have 10k machines, and before we have if just the server nodes shut down, we have a bunch of machines, so we have a database set up to make sure that we are doing the right work. We are not digging the same URL twice, and we keep crawling the whole network. So I'm not sure I'm not sure either about what this question is specifically asking us to do. And the last one, how do you know whether a crawler is done? So when the crawler is done, it means that the size of the results or the database doesn't grow. So if it doesn't grow for a while, then it pretty much means that we are done with crawling the whole network. So I think that's pretty much it for this question. So if you have a question about the solution or about whatever, feel free to leave some comments below. So if you like this video, please help subscribe this channel. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.